everybody? This is David. Welcome back to the channel. This is Stock Talk episode 14. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. For the ones that's going to come in later on and watch at a later date, appreciate you guys watching. Just have one request that you hit that like button, hit that share button, hit that subscribe button. I really appreciate it. Just helps the channel grow. Just a small channel trying to come up. So do me that one favor. If you don't do nothing else, hit the like button, hit the share button, subscribe. Hey, drop a comment in the chat, or if you're watching afterwards in the comment section, I really appreciate it. But yeah, man, like I said, this is episode 14. We're gonna jump right into it. Just put one thing in the chat here. It's been a crazy time in the market. Crazy time in the market these last few days, last few weeks. And, it's been real interesting what's been going on. But give me 1 second. I want to put this in the chat for anybody who's coming in. Yesterday's. I put this poll up. And I just wanted to put it here just to see. Yeah, so like I said, crazy couple days in the market, and a lot of talk, a lot of action been going on, man. And yesterday we had a big swing to the downside. Then a tweet came out, and we had a big swing to the upside. Then today we back to the downside. So, just crazy times right now. But before we get into that, man, we're gonna jump right into how the markets did today, and we'll come back to that. Let's just go real quickly here because we're just gonna have a little conversation tonight. Not gonna be on here too long, but just as we see here, the Dow today down 1,000 points, down 2.5% today. Year to date, we're sitting down almost basically 7%. 2,900 points year to date that the Dow is down. Over to the S&P. The S&P is down today, down almost 3.5%, down 188 points on the S&P. Remember, we had the big day yesterday, crazy day yesterday. A lot of people was excited about what they saw yesterday after a certain tweet came out or message or whatever came out, and but today we kind of back to reality, or back to what we've been seeing the last few days. S&P year to date down 10%. That's crazy. The S&P is down 10% so far year to date. We're in April, by the way. This is not like January and we got the whole year. We still got plenty of time, but to be down 10% in April, we still have a long ways to go. Just kind of discouraging right now. The NASDAQ today down 4%, and year to date down 15%. Year to date is the NASDAQ, and just some real tough times right now. Real tough times in the market. And yesterday was just really interesting about really interesting about what happened in the stock market yesterday. So, now I made a post earlier today. Hey, do you think yesterday was, some insider trading involved? A message came out saying that, it's a great day to buy. The markets were really down. It's a great day to buy. Then you get the news that some reciprocal tariffs had been put on hold for 90 days, and boom, the market shoots up. I'm not gonna lie, it's probably the best single day in the market that I've ever seen since I've been investing. Single best day in the market. It was a great day. You know, maybe feel a little better for all the losses that we done took so far this year. Even with yesterday, not even close, not even close to being back on track to what or where I was at the beginning of the year. And I'm sure a lot of people's portfolios are like that. So, uh, but yesterday was a promising sign. But then you come right back today, and it's almost like another gut punch today because the China tariffs are still in play, and I just hate that we're talking about tariffs in the first place. I just hate that we can't let the market do what the market does, and it's just a lot of other stuff going on that's preventing the market from really doing what the market wants to do, and that it wants to go up basically. Um, I think we had some good news today about the inflation. Inflation kind of cool for last month. So, next month is going to be a real big data point to see how inflation, does, after these tariffs have taken place. So that's going to be really, really important. But yeah, like I said, tonight's going to be not going to be a long video. I want to talk briefly about how crazy the markets were, how, get you guys' opinion on how you feel the direction in the market. We just been taking some hits, man. Just been taking some hits, and we're gonna go right over to this. We'll go right over to. Let's see. We'll go right over to Yahoo Finance and just throw this article in there here. We'll go through here. And as you see, stocks pummeled as NASDAQ sinks 4%. Dow drops 1,000 points as new China tariffs loom over the markets. And we'll just read through here briefly here. And it says stocks fell sharply on Thursday as tariffs headline again weighed on markets. Just a day after the U.S. stock market enjoyed one of its best days on record, which I just said yesterday. Definitely one of the best days I've ever seen for a single day in my portfolio. The S&P 500 dropped almost 3.5%, while the tech-heavy NASDAQ tumbled 4.3%. The Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 1,014 points, or 2.5%. The 10-year Treasury yield in high focus the 10-year Treasury yield in high focus amid bond markets whiplash and its role in Trump's decision to reverse sweeping reciprocal tariffs ended the day flat around 4.39%. On Thursday, the White House confirmed total tariffs on China will now be 145% when accounting for the previous 20% duties already in place. The news surprised some investors as President Trump had posted on Truth Social on Wednesday that the tariff rate charged to China would be 125%. Yeah. So stocks quickly hit session lows following these headlines. The consistent move lower today is showing a large shadow of uncertainty remains. New York Stock Exchange market strategist Eric Criscuolo wrote in the midday trading update on Thursday afternoon. So volatility in the afternoon trade offered occasional signs of a recovery, but markets closing off session lows is cold comfort for a market that continues to be whipsawed and pressured by relentless tariff headlines. So definitely took a beating today in the market. I actually got in on a little option trade today. I got in on some SPY puts, made pretty good on for one contract. I just mess around, dibble dabble a little bit, and so I was able to do well on that SPY put, earlier today. And what else we got? So talk about the tariffs on China. Well, did you think yesterday was insider trading with the news that came out? And how far do you think the markets have dropped? Do you think Do you think we have reached the bottom of the markets, or do you think we still have a ways to go before we technically hit the bottom of this stock market? We went way down the last few weeks. We hit a nice pull yesterday after the message came out about some pauses on some tariffs, and then today we back down. So do you think the market's going to go down even further, or do you think we kind of saw the bottom and we can kind of start working our way up? What do you guys think about that? Let me know in the comment section on the chat. But I'm still a little nervous. I'm still a little nervous about what's going on. I'm still way down, even with what happened yesterday. I'm still way down in my portfolio, and so today didn't help that at all. So I personally think, unfortunately, I think the market still has a ways to go. I saw the futures were down. It's rough times right now. I'm gonna be honest with you. Just a rough time period right now in this stock market. So that's just my opinion. Now, is it time to sell everything? I don't think so. I don't know if you need to do some readjusting in the portfolio. I have some. Let me stop sharing this here. I have some, fairly risky positions that, they're going to get beat down during this time. I already know it's going to get beat down. Luckily, most of my portfolio is set up to have some strong positions. It's going to be some risky positions. The strong positions should definitely outweigh those risky positions that I may have. So, yeah, so I'm still going to be buying when I can, but I'm not in panic mode. I'm a little upset and discouraged, but I'm not in panic mode. I'm not going to go and just sell everything. I know some people have been switching their portfolios to bonds, selling out of their stocks and ETFs, and maybe going to bonds. Or some people selling out of their stocks and going to ETFs. Whichever the case may be, I don't think it's a right or wrong situation. I hate it for the new investors who just jumped into the market prior to all this stuff happening. You may have started investing in late 2024 or early 2025, and just to see what's been going on lately. It may be a turnoff for you for the stock market. So I put out a little short earlier, just talking about how I plan on, staying the course in the market, and that's what I'm going to do. So no panic, but it is definitely discouraging. Definitely not what I was expecting. Not where I was expecting the market to be 4 months in to 2025. In April, I thought we'll be kind of on the up and up. Got over that initial shock wave of the election and all that stuff, get that out the way, and start working our way up, man. The portfolio should be taking off, but it just hasn't been the case. And, kudos to the traders out there who's making a lot of money with the volatility. I know it's probably some millionaires that were made yesterday and probably today too, for those heavy traders. Like I said, I got in on one trade, a spot put, and, it did okay for me just to have one contract because I'm still just practicing. But did pretty well. I think I got in on the SPY about 517, 518, I think it was it. And I think it dropped down to like 513 or something like that. I got out, took that profit. Of course, I was itching. It was itching. So I tried to get back in on another play, and I got out after a short loss. And, of course, that wasn't smart to do because I did get a violation, you know what I'm saying, on Moo. So I got to be careful with those. I never should have got back in the first place, but that's how it be sometimes. So I just gotta walk away from it, walk away. So, but I did get a nice little percentage on the small account that I have. So I'll take it whenever I can get it. So, but yeah, yep. And let me know, guys, if you got. I mentioned about bonds. Do you have any hedge positions? Any position that you have that's doing well right now, despite all this turmoil. I don't know if I have anything that's doing well. My BRKB, the Berkshire B that I have is holding pretty strong, pretty solid during these times. I have some other positions that's not doing as bad as others. But my big dogs have been taking a hit. The Amazons, the Googles, the Apples, they went crazy yesterday, but still way down. Amazon, Google, Apple, they all way down overall. And, just to show you how my luck has been going, the markets were up slightly yesterday. I think before the news came out about, the pause on trade. So what I did, I was feeling a little confident that the market was going up, and I've been hitting it pretty good with the cover calls. So I put in the cover call. I rolled down some cover calls price wise on Apple and Amazon and even Google. And as soon as I executed those cover calls and received their premium, probably no more than 10 to 15 minutes later, the news comes out that they're pausing the tariffs. What happens? Boom, the prices go up. And of course, with cover calls, you don't want the prices to go up, go past your strike prices. You're going to end up in a hole. I've been caught that. I've been caught a few times, especially starting off. And that's why I try to pick lower, deltas on the, and a little bit further out strike prices. You get less premium, but that's okay. You want to play it the safe play. But I got hit hard after I executed those cover calls, and man, I paid the price for those. But luckily, I have some time on those executions. I think 2 of them is next Friday, the 17th, on my Apple and my Amazon. Google is out to May 16th. And then the pullback actually helped on my cover calls today. Unfortunately, the market was down, but they did help me, kind of get some room back on my cover calls after being hit hard yesterday. So I guess that was like the bright side of the day. I should have did some buying today with the income I made on those cover calls, but I didn't do any buying because I just want to be on the safe side and hold on to that little income that I created from those cover calls. I'll reevaluate tomorrow and see how the market goes, or I may do some buying on early next week. We'll see. I just want to have some extra cash just in case I have to do some maneuvering with those cover calls that ran up yesterday. So that's kind of how I'm playing that. So, but yeah, man, yeah. I think that's it. It's kind of light tonight. Weather's kind of crazy out here in Atlanta tonight. So hopefully the power doesn't go out. But I didn't want to make a long stream tonight. I just wanted to come touch bases just for a little bit, to talk about the craziness in the market. I hope you guys, if you catch the replay, just leave me some feedback on, what are you thinking right now? How your portfolios are doing? You're holding out for a recovery for this year. I really don't know how it's going to turn out this year. You know what I'm saying? Because now with so much uncertainty, just not knowing day to day what can happen, what information can come out, just kind of sitting on eggshells, until this thing smooths out, which I hope it will. Like I said, I never root against the market. I don't care how I feel about administration. I never root against the stock market because, we're all normal, average people, looking to better ourselves financially by way of the stock market. So, I always root for the stock market to go up, And during that time when the markets go up, there'll be some slight pullbacks, which is expected. Take advantage of those slight pullbacks. Overall, we want the market, I will hope, to go up. I feel the people who like to catch sales and, wait until the price reaches, come back to this point or that point or whatever the case may be. Hey, that's fine. I'm okay with that. me personally, I like slight pullbacks too to get in the market, but I would, I like that comfort to know that, hey, this, I have some good companies here that I expect to continue to go up over time, and that's why we invest in the stock market. Um, Crashes are good for some people, I guess, but most people I know who've been investing for a long time, who built up a long-term portfolio, they don't like to see a quarter of their portfolio lost, because of a crash. And yeah, you can buy more shares, but you know, it's not going to leave a easy feeling. You know, it's not going to leave it an easy feeling inside of you when you see your portfolio down like that. So, I've seen like a year's worth of work go down the drain in a matter of a couple of weeks or a month. So yeah, you might be catching prices at lower rates right now, but you know, hey, I'd rather see my overall value of the portfolio continue to increase, and I can catch those prices when they come down or slightly. You know what I'm saying? Or pullbacks. You get pullbacks depending on earnings and stuff like that. That happens all the time. So, it's not like that's not at like even in the bull market, you don't get pullback opportunities to get in on some good companies. That I don't understand why people don't see that. But yeah, yep. So I know we'll be on tonight. Like I said, I don't want this to be a long video. I just want to come touch bases. I know everybody's not super excited about what's going on right now, and like I said, it's kind of just a day by day thing, um, and we just gotta play it by ear. But yeah, man, I just want to touch bases with you guys. I don't see a lot of people in the chat tonight, so just leave me a comment whenever you get a chance. I think I'm gonna shut it down a little earlier tonight, man. Remember, always invest in yourself. I'm not a financial advisor. Always do your own research. Um, and stay the course, man. Stay the course. Use this as a learning experience, and hopefully better days will be coming down the road. But just a little, it's some turbulence right now. It's just a rough time, and we just don't know how this thing is going to play out. What's going on, Lisa? And so. Lisa, what you think about yesterday? What you think? What's your feelings about what happened yesterday? Do you think there's a little manipulation, a little inside trading going on yesterday, or you just think that things kind of played out how they played out based on the news that came out? A lot of people think it was some fishy things that happened yesterday, and I'm still just kind of wild about what happened yesterday and then what happened today, and it just doesn't give a good direction on how the market is going day to day. Like I said, I looked at the futures. The futures look like they were down, and yeah, so yeah. I agree. I don't want to come out and say it, but it was just, man, it hurts the everyday investor, the regular investors, which most of us are. I think people knew what was about to happen. I think it was perfectly planned, timed out, and I think the people that benefited, the most are probably on a higher net worth level than most of us. I'll just leave it like that. And I heard some rumors about a possible investigation, but I don't know. I don't know how that's gonna go. You know how Congress and all that type of stuff, man. It just seems like there's no checks and balances in what's going on right now, and it's just almost unheard of. But yeah. So a lot of people made big money yesterday. Let's just say, you know what I mean. Even with my accounts going up, I just feel like I made a portion back of what I've lost over the last month. So nothing for me to jump crazy about. Plus, we didn't know what was going to happen. So by the time a lot of people was registering what was happening, the markets had already, went crazy. So, hopefully people got in on some good prices. They would take advantage of that. And then you turn around in the market I wouldn't say tank today, but you turn around and lose a chunk of what you made yesterday, which, I'm okay if that was like a steady go up, take 3 steps to take, and take 1 step back. But we've been taking a lot of steps back. Then we get a step or two forward, and then we come back and take a step back. So out of those 10 steps we done took back, we probably done taken 2 or 3 steps forward. So overall, you still, down, for the year. So down big time. He's not like a couple of down days. No, still heavily down. Tens of thousands of dollars in my account. So I know if I'm tens of thousands down, I can only imagine with some of these bigger accounts, especially some of these retiree accounts, um, how much they've taken a hit. You know what I mean? I've seen some influencers, they've taken major hits, you know what I mean? So, and I'm gonna be honest, what gets me is you see you know, I'll say it, some of these influencers, people in the stock market, they have their own personal feelings about administration or whatever the case may be. It seems like, you have a large following, I guess, people on the left side or right side. You don't want to step on nobody's toes, but you still got to be honest about what's going on. Like, let's not play like, oh, the market to do this, the market. No, we know why the market is acting crazy right now. It's not a coincidence. You know what I mean? It ain't like some bad earnings that came out and, we can say, hey, just hold for right now. It's going to be a better quarter. The typical, which may influence the market. No, you got some self-inflicted stuff that's going on right now that, in my opinion, is not necessary. And then you have some people who so deep into it, like they're on the front lines of a trade war or a tariff war that probably not going to have anything to do with them. You know what I mean? And you're okay with seeing your portfolios be drained just so you can say, oh, this, we got to be tough and strong. And, that type of foolery is just not, not my thing, right? You know what I mean? That's not, I'm not on the front lines of a tariff war or trade war or anything like that. Like, I'm an average investor. So, I don't get deep into that. I need to understand, this is stuff that's affecting me personally, with our accounts. So, luckily, I do have some dividend income. I've been able to do well with some covered calls. Like I said, I did execute some covered calls right before the market jumped yesterday, so it actually went against me because I did the covered calls based on the markets being up slightly, and then 15 minutes later, the market goes crazy. And luckily, I had plenty of room in between those covered calls, and some time, so it didn't backfire on me because you don't want to get your shares exercised. So I got some, like I said earlier, I got some cover calls out to next Thursday, I think, because I think next Friday the market is closed. So I got some out to the 17th, and I think my Google one is out until May. So I have plenty of time on that. And then, like I said, the market being down today actually helped my cover calls. So I'll hold on to that cash just to make sure I don't have to maneuver with those cover calls. And once I kind of feel like I'm in the clear, I'll use some of that income to buy some more shares. Probably more Apple, more Google, more Amazon. In that account, I have JetQ. I have SP, one of those SPLGs, the SPYG in that account. So I'll use that cover call income to strengthen up some of those shares, which is what I've been doing this year. I've taken advantage of the few green days we had, get some cover call income, and I'll buy some more shares. So that's kind of what I've been doing. So, so just trying to find some positive in some of these, in the bad times. Tomorrow is going to be a decent dividend day for me. So I'll use some of that income probably to buy some more shares, or, who knows, I may use to pay down a bill or whatever the case may be. So, but I think I think that's it for tonight. We talked about a few things. We're about 30 minutes in now, and I think I'm gonna shut it down for the night. Remember to like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell. If you're coming in late, leave me some feedback in the comment section. I really appreciate it. And like I said, man, like I said earlier, stay the course. Um, you might have to do some maneuvering around. Hopefully all this stuff passes over without it getting like a 2008 type of situation. I wasn't in the market in 2008. I was just learning about stocks at that time. I may have had a couple of stocks, but it wasn't nothing major. I think I had worked at E-Trade by that time as well. So I was kind of just getting my feet wet on how all this stuff works. But hopefully we don't see a situation like that in 2008. I don't care what anybody. You can have a pullback. We don't need it. We don't need nothing like that. We don't need a crash like that. People work really hard over the years to build up their portfolios. I don't think we need to see anything like that just to get in on a few shares at some good prices. Just doesn't happen. Just invest. Your dollar cost average. You'll get in at some good prices over time. So, just my opinion. You know what I mean? So, I've always done well when the market goes up. I've done worse when the market goes down. That's probably like most investors. So I don't get caught up in, oh, it's a pullback and we can do this and do that. And yeah, you can buy. Yeah, I can buy a few shares. That's not going to make up for the 10 or 20 grand I just lost over a month. Just because I was able to add a few shares. You know what I mean? Like, that's crazy talk. You know what I mean? So, even if I do a couple puts here or there or a call here or there, like, no, we talk about the long-term portfolio being your bread and butter. And that's, let's not act like all of a sudden that doesn't matter. You know what I mean? So it matters. So, sorry about my little rant, but, I'm a little frustrated like everybody else. But, we're going to stand the test of time by being patient and maneuvering our way through these tough times. But that's going to be it for tonight. I appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll be back. I'll try to drop another video this weekend. My Tuesdays has been kind of crazy. I haven't been able to get on Tuesdays. I had to do a better job at that, but I'll try my best. So, but until next time, guys, I will talk to you later.